You know, everyone always expects a re-release these days in terms of the Legend of Zelda announcements. But leave it to Nintendo to throw a curveball at this fanbase. Echoes of Wisdom is just what we needed in this era of such a conflicted fanbase, because I think it represents what most fans want. Compromise. In the spirit of continuing the style of Link's Awakening, we finally have a new Zelda game that isn't an addition to their mainline 3D games. Also, in the spirit of the past, we finally have new games filling the gaps, and it is much needed. So, what do I mean by compromise? Well, the fanbase is very all over the place in terms of what makes for a good Zelda game these days. Many feel the fresh take of Breath of the Wild was a much-needed change to an aging formula, while many others feel that the formula was the core of the experience of progression one gets from the games in the series. I definitely fall more in the later group of thinking, yearning for puzzles and items that gatekeep the player from parts of the game, until they are pieced together in a particular order. Not to say that has to be a strict linear order, but one that at least drives a linear story forward in a way that keeps investment high. I do, however, enjoy the open exploration of these new worlds, and I do not miss the hallway-like level design of the past, unless we're talking about dungeon design. Then I really do miss that. It has become obvious that open traversal has become a bigger priority and a more popular design feature. And I do think that it deserves experimentation. Tears of the Kingdom had some good ideas incorporating vertical traversal into level design, but much like its predecessor, made the world a bit too free. If there is minimal gatekeeping, there is less structure to what has been a heavily story-focused series for multiple decades. Echoes of Wisdom looks to be a further evolution of testing this freedom versus gatekeeping equation. We have a design that looks more segmented and walled off, but have gameplay that encourages vertical traversal of these zones. Combat is more strategic, utilizing a tool belt of environmental options and magic manipulation. We see the freedom of both open-air games and using resources to solve problems, but we also see level design that cannot be necessarily immediately circumvented. You have options, but limited paths in that mobility. I definitely think the imitation of the old 2D style helps in this top-down approach to problem solving. It puts more focus on the environment and less on the playable character. This actually reminds me a lot of The Legend of Zelda on NES's approach to progression, making directional options available while keeping things locked behind obstacles. Tears of the Kingdom half-assed its compromises in ways that made no one happy. It ignored the historical design of much of Breath of the Wild's level design and added dungeons with little to no linear puzzle solving. Throw in being able to skip entirely the whole map in terms of land traversal by falling from heights almost anywhere, and you have a fundamentally broken progression system both in level design and narrative. If Tears was the first attempt at incorporating old ideas back into Zelda games, maybe Echoes will be the first one to stick the landing. It already shows an awareness of what fans have been requesting in the form of making a Legend of Zelda game where you get to play as the namesake of the franchise as well. We can even see a heart container on the cover art of the game, which makes me much more confident that there will be a growth to the player's tool belt and a progression to the challenges that you will face. Not whenever you want, but when the game allows you to. And those are my general thoughts and hopes for The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. If any of that resonated with you, click the like button and subscribe for more gaming opinions and deep dives. Let me know what you think of this fresh-looking title in the comments. And thank you for coming to the Dutch Ritz party.